Uh, we are live now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. I want to appreciate you for joining us on Leadership Talk with Adegoke. This is the 30th edition. The 30th edition of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. And I'm privileged to have with me tonight a friend and a sister, Odunayo Moritiwa Soya. You're welcome to Leadership Talk with Adegoke.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Wow. Trust your Sunday has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Eventful though, but good.
Wow. Excellent. Can you just introduce yourself? Who is Odunayo?
You know, that's a question we must all learn for us to make something out of life. Who am I? Well, I'm a child at heart. I'm one who believes in the incredible power of the human mind. I'm one who applies myself to whatever I find, myself to do. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot, and I believe I'm still trying to read so much more. Well, I'm a 9-to-5 woman. I have a career. I started with banking, worked in a few banks, and then I found myself in the telco industry. And I think that's who I am. I'm an author. I have a book, The Alphabets of Leadership for Young Minds. I'm a coach with a John Maxwell team and a speaker. And I just like to help people connect with their purpose, in life. And most importantly, I'm a lover of God. I try to love him in my own way. And I'm married, very much happily married, a friend of mine. And I have 3 daughters.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. 3 daughters. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we share something special in common. I also have daughters.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. I just want you to share with us, how did you get into leadership?
There's something I always do I haven't done. I'd like to, especially thank the audience. It takes a lot, on a Sunday evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are, to make a conscious decision to grow yourself. It's not a very easy decision because there are many competing commitments. And so I'd like to thank you for allowing myself and my brother Goke into your space. And I believe that we'll enjoy the ride. So you did ask, how did I get into leadership? Yeah. So let me say that we are all in leadership. Let me start from that. And why do I say we are all in leadership? You see, by living our lives daily, we are leading ourselves. There's a difference between, there's streams of leadership. So you could have positional leadership. You could have leadership as a lifestyle. And that's why I believe that it's not really about getting into leadership, but it's so much about understanding that every day that we live our lives and we move towards purpose, we're leading ourselves. And to know that we're our own first leader, that's the truth. If you can't lead yourself, no matter how much you try, other people can't lead you too. So that's on one side. So for me, leadership is a lifestyle, is what we do every day. The moment we take a decision, the littlest decision in our lives, we take that decision, we're leading. That is leadership. However, which I think is what you're speaking to, positional leadership. So it's a case of making a pledge to myself to add value wherever I am. I believe that leadership really is not about the positions that we hold. Oh no, it's really not about that. If you're not a leader without your position, then you're really not a leader. Let me use that. Let me say that. So I believe that it is getting into a place. So for me, it was about getting into wherever I found myself and connecting with people and giving value, birthing value in that place, adding value to the people that come, that I come across and come across me. And yes, so I'm a career person, like I said, applying myself, a lot of hurdles to cross in the career world. And so here I am today. So I think it's about, number one, like I said, understanding that leadership is lifestyle. It's just what we do naturally every day. And for us all to operate in that knowing, that knowledge, number one. Then number two is also that for people who are in businesses or, you're a career person, it's about applying yourself. The moment you continue to add value to people, and the environment, your organization, definitely you would rise through the ranks. And also understanding. So for me, leadership, getting into leadership was also understanding, aside from those two things, understanding that leadership is not necessarily, vertical. No, it's also horizontal. And we share a mentor in common. John Maxwell will say, a leader is someone. So if he says a leader is someone who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. Therefore, leadership is about knowing the way, showing the way, and just going the way. So those for me are the three things that I would say got me into leadership.
Awesome. I can see that you are just, firing up. This is, and I'm so thankful because you are living it out, and it's not something that is theoretical. Some people, when we talk about leadership, they talk from books, not from experience. Yours is more experiential. Obviously, you've also been exposed to a lot of reading and mentorship from the John Maxwell team, and I'm sure you have other mentors that will be, getting to know about as we go along. And I want you to just speak to this. What's the relationship between women and leadership?
Okay, so if you follow from what I've said following from what I said earlier, you find that leadership is gender blind, number one. Okay. Number two, success is gender blind. Significance is gender blind. In fact, the entire universe is gender blind.
Wow.
It's not about the gender that you are. So there is a fundamental link. The mere fact that womankind is an existence, therefore, I would say, by creation, there is a link, to leadership. And beyond that, I believe personally that, and I don't say because I'm a woman, I'd say because I've seen it. I must tell you, I've seen it with my mom, I've seen it with great women around me who don't have to be, people may not even know them, but they're birthing change, they're birthing new thinking in generations to come. And you find that women are great influencers. We are natural influencers.
Wow.
Look at it like this. A woman in the home influences her husband towards a particular decision.
Yeah.
Influences her children to imbibe certain values that are shared within the family. A woman influences even to everything from the way the children dress to the way the husband turns out, pitches in when the husband has an idea, whether at work, whether as an employee or even as a business owner. A woman by nature cares. And that is what leadership is. So for me, the natural role of a woman. So the first thing is that regardless of gender, for me, it's not a gender, talk. It's just the fact that regardless of our gender, everyone is a leader because you lead yourself. Secondly, the natural role that women have, whether as wives, as daughters, as sisters, as friends, as employees, as business owners. Our nature is that of influence. And like John Maxwell will say again, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing, less. So there's a strong relationship between women and leadership. And for me, it's when we talk about leadership, we don't need, like I said earlier, it's not about positions. It's just about the fact that, we can find ourselves where we are. Check out, a woman applies herself to the environment is much more easily than a man does. And it's not, like I always tell people, it's not a competition, it's a completion. We complete ourselves, so
collaboration.
Yes. So it's more like that. So for me, that's the link. And, research has proven it. You find research, whether you go to the GSMA, they have a website.
What is GSMA?
Okay, forgive me. I'm going to remember. It's the global. It has to do with the GSM industry, but for Africa. So it's GSM Africa there by Global Satellite Mode. Forgive me, but check GSMA.org or GSMA.com. There's a focus on there's a focus on research around getting women into mainstreaming the female gender. And the reason is because research by Forbes, business school researchers have proven that when they check the businesses that were led by women, especially women and entrepreneurs, and even those multinationals, they found that businesses led by women return twice the value of $1 than those led by men.
Wow. Yes. Are you trying to
check? No, I'm not. That's why I say it is a completion. It's not. It's not.
Collaboration.
Together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and that tells you the strong link between women and leadership. A lot of organizations today, you can go check McKinsey research, go check Bain and all this researches that have been done. Women need, a lot of organizations need the voices of women in the boardroom, in designing their products. So take, for instance, my organization, we believe so much that, the woman determines the eventual destination of every naira, every dollar, every pound in the home.
Wow.
The reason is because the man will provide, but who appropriates?
Is the woman.
It is the woman.
Yeah.
And so for you to get into a lot of homes, you need to have to either engage women as a focus group. To get what they want, and then you can design certain products and services.
Wow.
Because you know that it will be accepted within the family. So it's there's a strong link.
You're just coming up with so many powerful nuggets tonight. I'm so, I just want to salute and celebrate you because we need to hear from people like you. I mean, for quite a while, we just hear a lot of noise, but what you're sharing here is authentic, and I want to celebrate you. Now, how can a woman become a leader? How can a woman become a leader?
Okay, so if I say a woman is already a leader, if you follow the way that I started, I think it's about coming back to encountering an awakening. You can have power and not know.
Wow.
That's the truth. And I'm a believer that nobody gives you power. You take it. And the moment you take it not because you want to hurt other people.
Yeah.
You take it because there needs to be, you want to use it to elevate others. And so for me, women are already in leadership, but there's certain things that we need to do. And I believe it's also applicable to the male folk. Because like I said, Leadership is gender blind. That's the truth. And because of that, there are universal principles that just apply, whether you're a man or you're a woman. I think for women to get into to leadership, especially whether in your lifestyle daily or in the corporate world, in the business world, I think we all need to understand that it's okay I tell people that fear is a valid emotion. I'm not one that will say, oh, you're afraid. How can you be afraid? It's not possible. No, fear is a valid emotion. But the truth is that.
Why are you saying fear is a valid emotion? Why? Okay,
I'll tell you why. What is emotion? Emotion is simply energy in motion.
Okay.
That's what it is. We're all just a bundle of energy. And that's why, we send vibrations and things like that. Now, energy in motion, and I'm not a scientist, but the little I read in my secondary school and primary school is that energy is useless except it is converted.
Deployed, yeah.
Yeah. You must convert it to a usable form before you deploy. Therefore, if fear is a valid emotion, then it's not a bad thing, but we must understand there has to be a process of conversion.
Wow.
So for women, it's okay to be afraid. But the most important thing is that you mustn't let the fear. You see that you're fearful just tells that you're stepping into something big. You're probably stepping into something that is bigger than you. And you are, at that point, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Now, it's okay. The moment you see that, how do you convert the fear to energy, usable energy? How does the fear become faith for us women? And there are times where I'm a woman, I can't do this. And I'm saying to every woman, do what you believe. As long as it is adding value. Do what you believe. And so how do you convert the fear into faith as fuel for you to run? It's about, a lot of it is about, we've read, and we keep hearing about the imposter syndrome. It's real. Even as I was about to get on this program, it was like, okay, so Oduanya, what are you going to say? And I told myself, I said, what, this voice, I'm so familiar with you. You know that once I open my mouth, it's going to be filled up.
Wow.
And it is that thing about us telling ourselves we're not enough. And the process of the conversion is when we keep telling ourselves we are enough. We've been created with all that we need. And the moment that we show up as women, the universe responds to us. Any individual, the moment you show up, the universe responds, because the universe is waiting, is always conspiring to do us good. And so it's about having that voice and faith in yourself that says, you know what, if anyone can do this, it's not about a man or woman. You can do it. I always tell people ask me when I get into, and the whole of my career, I haven't been a victim of gender bias, I must tell you. I haven't. But I also think part of it is because when you're determined to add value to a place, when people see that you are competent in a place, then they join you to believe in yourself. So how can women go? We must convert that fear into faith, into fuel, and tell ourselves that, you know what, we can do this thing. Let's not being afraid of failure. Let me tell you, if the likes of Mrs. Awoshika, the chairman of First Bank, the likes of Shola David Bora, who was the first female CEO of Stanbic IBTC in Nigeria.
Yes, Okonjo-Iweala.
Yes, if Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Obi Ezekwesili, Angela Merkel, and I could go on and on. If Kamala Harris, if they were stuck in the fear, we wouldn't know what we know of them. We would experience the impact. And so, yes, we may not all be on the global stage, but it's to tell ourselves, people ask me, when you walk through a door, what goes into your mind. I tell them, I say, you know what? I just tell myself, Odunayo, you have a right to be here.
Wow.
And that's why you're here. You cannot shrink so that others can be enlarged. No,
wow.
The stage is big enough.
You have to shine your light.
Stay there. God bless you. Will shine your light and all of that. And then another thing for women is about support systems. We need to create support systems for ourselves.
Wow.
And when I talk about support systems, a woman has the role. Yes. She's a mother. At some point, we all as ladies mature into women and we start having, a family.
Yeah.
For those who make a choice to have a family. And it takes a lot from a woman. I always tell my siblings, and I have 4 other sisters and 2 brothers. We're 7. And when we're gisting with my sisters-in-law, and we say, women just have a permanent deficit of sleep, permanent sleep deficit. You can't get enough, But the support system is that you need to enlist the people in your family circle, if you do have one, to join you. So I'll tell you, when I started out in my career, about 24, this year is the 24th year in career for me. And when I started having, when I started having my children, I knew that, my mom and dad had to play a role. And maybe because I was close by to them. I knew they had a role to play. I knew my in-laws had a role to play. I knew my siblings had a role to play. And the more as the children grew, it's about, you can't possibly do everything. There's a place of hiring, a nanny to get some things done so that as women, we don't burn out. So you need a support system, both at home and at work.
Wow.
Now, when I talk about at work, you need to have relationships. People who will bend over for you and get things, move your course, and so we need those things as women. So for me, those are some of the things. I know that time is.
Wow. I know you're just firing up, and it's good, because, like I said, it's more of experiential. I mean, we're not here just to read from a book, but we're just sharing from experience, and which you're doing very well. I know that those who are on the platform are also benefiting to a large extent. I want you now to speak to this. What are the consequences of women not having leadership skills? Because this is also a challenge in the area of being employed. Can you speak to that, please?
Okay, so when you say women not having leadership skills, I think it's not that women don't have the leadership skills. Women don't show up. Women don't step up. Women don't wake up, dress up, and show up powerfully. That's what we don't do. We have the skills. Look, the greatest leadership that can be displayed is a woman who has a family and is playing that role, taking care of her family, taking care of extended family. Now, I speak from the African point of view. Or a woman who has siblings and, you just have. So what more leadership can there be than that? Let's be real. Let's not make these things look like rocket science. So for me, I think it's pretty much around the fact that as women, we believed there's a lot of, there's the gender stereotype, especially in Africa, and even in other developed parts of the world. These things happen. Gender bias is real. And so you find that a lot of how do I put it? A lot of women, because of the way the society is, there's a belief that it's a man's world, but it's everybody's world. It's humanity's world, And so for me, I think it's about women understanding that. Now, what another thing I always say is that the reason why we may not display these skills and do this is because women also entrench the stereotype. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why, because we are what we are largely because of the way we were brought up.
Okay.
Now, as we grow, we begin to recondition, we begin to reprogram ourselves, but largely, fundamentally, it's because of how, we're brought up. And so for me, as women, we need to change the narrative from the family. We are also entrenching that narrative. How are we raising our male children? And it's a deep one. Are we raising them to understand that, look, it is an equal world. Your sister is not lesser than you in any form. You guys complete each other. And we complete, we complete each other in the world. Or are we still letting them know that, no, you know what? A male child is more important. They're more important in the family and all of that. So it also starts with women. How we raise and reprogram the stereotype in the minds of our younger children. So that when they even go to school, when they're relating with other children, it's clear. They understand diversity and inclusion.
Wow. And
they see the advantages. So first, for me, that is one of the ways that as women, we can enable our leadership skills from the house, changing that narrative. And you know what? I was talking about waking up, showing up, and dressing up and showing up. Yes. It's about the fact that wherever we find ourselves as women must, we have a voice. There's a reason we have a voice. No one, I always tell people, if we are together in the same office, you're not better. You're not, and I'm not being proud, or it's not about pride. You can't ride roughshod over me.
Wow.
We are both citizens, equal citizens of that place. You have an employment letter, I have one. We have the same rights. HR don't treat A separate from the way they treat B. So at that point, we are equal.
Wow.
And so it's for us as women to find a way to always get into the room. I always say that there's a difference between getting into the room, being in the room, and then sitting at the table.
Wow.
There are three different things. You can be in the room and not even be sitting down in the room.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you can be sitting down and not be sitting down at the table. And how do you do that? Is by the value that you bring. How do we network as women? People should read this book by Sheryl Sandberg, the lady who was in Yahoo and Facebook.
Okay.
I'm trying to lean in. That's the title of the book. Lean In is a powerful book on her journey into, how do I put it, into the executive boardroom. And she tells her story. She says, a lot of things happen when she's gone home because she has a family. So a lot of things happen when she's gone home at night, men over a drink and all of that. So you find that as women, we also need to network. There are times I have to attend an event. Maybe an event that starts at 8, 9 is official. I can tell them I'm not coming. But there's a reason. I need to remind someone I am here. Work is going on. Value is being. And so because of that, I go. The only thing is that I may not stay till 1 a.m. I may not even stay till 12 midnight, especially this was, before the corona. Yeah. I would show. And then you get to know people within your organization. And what that does for you is that the day you cry for help,
there'll be people to write.
Will show up. People will show up more than you know. People will notice you. And I'm talking about when your competencies are speaking, you are adding value. Yeah, because I always tell people when we talk about women and leadership, when we talk about gender, it's not about handouts. It's about acknowledging the value that a woman can bring to the business, to the table, whatever table, whether corporate table, whether the family table, whether you understand, it is the value. Women need to network. You know, in that book, Sheryl Sandberg, I have a copy on my shelf here. And she says that, yes, there were days she would tell her husband, I need to be here. And you know what? She will be there. She doesn't drink alcohol, but she will tell them that, look, she will nurse a bottle of water till the evening is over, but she's there. She's physically there with them.
Wow.
And so we need to network. We need to apply ourselves.
Wow.
And so that's another way we.
And
women also need mentorship. I'm sure we'll get to that.
No, I know. Honestly, I want you just to know that we celebrate you, we salute you. You are speaking from the heart. You know, you're not just showing up to whip up a lot of sentiment, because sometimes we speak from emotions and just we are so sentimental when it comes to the issues of women in leadership. But you are saying, look, it's the value that you bring to the table. And, you really have to network. You have to show up. You have to, the mindset, you have to have the right mindset, because sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves, even when it comes to leadership for women. And it depends on your sphere of influence, those who are speaking into your life, And you also talked about structure, that you had, a good structure support system. I want you to speak to this. What are some of the challenges that women are facing when coping with work and family? Because what has happened with COVID has thrown up, so many challenges for women. Women are having to step back, having to deal with the family, children and so on. And some women have lost their jobs as a result of COVID. Can you speak to that, please?
So I would say that, yes, the research abounds on God knows how many women, like you said, have lost their jobs and have lost their livelihoods. They say COVID was not just a health pandemic; it was a livelihood pandemic. And I believe that it's not only the women. I know a lot of male folk that have lost, their jobs too. So what am I saying? I'm saying that it is tough, and I believe that an organization that knows its onions will not let a woman go just because she's a woman, because she needs time for her family and all of that. In the organization I work with, their policies, and I speak to, I don't know if they're business leaders that are listening. It is about understanding that the future workforce that they will employ will be affected by the decisions they make. Perchance they make flimsy decisions to fire women because a woman couldn't be here because she had to tend to family, a woman couldn't be there. So they're also, they're jeopardizing the pipeline that they will hire from in the future.
Wow.
Now, for women that have been impacted, I would say that, look, it's tough. It's not a good thing. It's really tough when you've lost a source of livelihood, and especially when you are a co-contributor to the economics of your family. I would say that it's not a time to give up. It's a time to keep showing up.
Wow.
It's a time. It is tough. I'm sure it is.
How can you show up in the midst of this pandemic? You're being pulled by the family, you are being pulled by the society, you just want to show up. How can you really show up,
Okay, I'll tell you something from, so I also I have a platform called the Thrive Circle, and we speak, and there was a time about 3 weeks ago, no, a month ago, we had a lady, Dr. Maimuna Kadiri, and she came to speak to us. And, she said, in this pandemic, as women, we must understand what is called me time. It's about prioritization. See, there will only ever be 24 hours in a day. You cannot have 27 hours in a day. Why is it that some people live their lives like they actually have 30 hours in a day? And so what I'll tell the women is embrace the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle of prioritization. Now, what it says is that 80% of your results will only come by 20% of the things you do. So it's not about, burning ourselves out. It's not about activity, but which activity as a mother, as a wife, knowing these very critical roles that I have, which of these activities move me closer
to your end goal,
to my purpose?
Yeah.
And so that means in this time is a time for women to sit back and go back to the drawing board and re-engage with purpose, re-engage with, the vision that we all have for ourselves, and see the things that you need to do minimally. So I had somebody on the program who said, oh, she's working hard, she's cleaning because they've had to let the nanny, the maid go because of, the housekeeper go because of since the corona.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you know what, they don't give award to people who do a lot of activities. It's people that hit certain milestones, certain business, deliver on business objectives, certain things. So that means we must rework our time. What are we spending our time on? That is the time. Do we get enough rest? It's only a rested brain that even wants to talk about, this is my purpose and I need to find it. This is my next step. This is the next step that I want to take. So that's the first thing. Women must find a me time in all of this.
How do you create a me time in the midst of all these challenges? Can you just give us
so there,
yeah.
So there are times that in my house, and my children know, I hardly, because I also do so much, I could get burnt out easily. But they do know that there are times that you don't come near my room. And it's not because I don't want you to come near. Even their dad will tell them, don't move near. Your mom is asleep. And the reason is because I'm awake virtually, a lot of during the day to get a nap is because I'm at work. Even though I'm working from home, I've been working from home for much more than a year now since the pandemic. But for everybody, and it's about giving them, you need to do your lesson even when you're on holidays, you catch up, you need to do the house chores, you need to do all of that. So you also keep them busy. And I know that there's some ladies who don't yet have, maybe even the children are still much younger. And that is why I said we must enlist a support system.
Wow.
Very, extremely, extremely important, both around us in our families, our friends, and at work. Very, very important. And for me, I'll tell the women who were impacted by the COVID, two things happen. Every opportunities don't come the way they don't come wrapped up in wrapping papers and with ribbons, and no, they don't. They actually present in crisis, and that's how you take the Chinese language. The same word, the same character represents opportunity and represents crisis. So I think what the women should do is that while waiting, because I want to choose to address that period as a wait time. While waiting, you skill up, you upgrade your skills, you take on new things, you learn new things that position you even for the future.
Wow.
Sign on for a course. There are many free courses that you can do on Coursera, XZ. There's so many. Yeah. Sign up for it and don't just keep acquiring these things. Start applying them. Volunteer. I've seen people's lives, transformed by them volunteering. I've seen them get to levels they never thought by volunteering. So that is what I'd say. It's tough, and I know it's not so easy, but I think some of those things do help.
Wow. Awesome. If you are just joining us, I've been speaking with my friend and my sister, Odunayo Moritiwo Soya, and we're speaking to the topic, leadership and women. And she shared so many nuggets tonight. She's talked about networking. She's talked about support structure. She's talked about, building up your skills. She's talked about dressing up and showing up. And she's also talked about, how you cope, even during the pandemic, for those who might have lost their jobs because of the COVID. So there's so many nuggets that she shared tonight. But I want you to speak to this as well. I have some questions that are interesting questions. Now, how can, okay, you talked about some of the ways that you can become, a leader, but how can you become a great leader? You talked about skills. I want you to speak to that again to reinforce, because there might be some people who are just joining. And even when you're watching the replay, I want you to take as many notes as possible, because this lady speaking to us tonight, she's fully loaded. she's a woman of value, and she's not just showing up, but she's intentionally adding value. How can you become a great leader? Like the Okonjo-Iwealas, like the Awoshikas, like the new president in Tanzania. In spite of all the contention, yes.
Okay, so the first thing, it's not only the audience. I always have a book and my pen, even though I'm the one talking, but I'm writing.
Wow.
So it's important to take those notes. It's really about understanding what greatness is to you.
Wow.
Let me tell you, not all of us will become like Okonjo-Iweala. But what does greatness look to you? What does great leadership, what does a great leader symbolize? What symbols do you see when you think of being a great leader? Because you see, your great leader might be different from my great leader. So it's very important to be clear as to what you want. Because when you're not clear as to what you want, you will be pressured, you will be intimidated, you will be, at times you will be intimidated to a point of paralysis.
And have low self-esteem as well.
That's the thing, if you're not careful. But you see, the thing is, first of all, we talked about the skills. And we said it's getting women to positions of leadership is not about a handout. We're not begging. It's because we know that women bring value to the table. So the first thing is that we must continue to improve on ourselves. The second thing for me is that we must acknowledge what we don't know. You see, you can't be everything. You can't be an expert at everything. You can't. So why don't you choose? Okay, so I was watching this clip by Burna Boy's, a Nigerian musician, Burna Boy's mom. He won, I think, a Grammy or two in the last Grammy Award. So do you know what she said? She said, when you enter a room and you don't know what they are talking about, just keep quiet. Try to adjust, listen before you speak. So what am I saying? I'm not saying we should. I don't believe, if you don't have a clue about what people are saying, yes, it's good to keep quiet. But as women, the first thing, we upskill and upgrade our skills. The second thing is that, have an area of expertise. It's very important. You can have a breadth. So you can have a wide breadth over a number of things, but your depth can only be in one or two things.
Wow.
That's awesome. The truth. Awesome. You can't be everything. You can't be a medical doctor, an accountant, at the same 10 things at the same time. Even though I know there's some people that have all these degrees, but the truth is that at some point they are practicing one thing out of all those 10 degrees that they've acquired.
So follow one course until successful. Focus.
Yeah, what is your area of strength? Self-awareness is key for women. And that is what I'm talking about. Self-awareness. Do you know yourself enough? What are your strengths? What are your I hate to say weaknesses. Where's your room for improvement? That's what I call it. Yeah, the opportunities for improvement. Do you know those things? And do you have a plan? That's it. Number 3, we've talked about networking. Network. Stand. Push yourself out there. Now, number 4 is, I was writing, it here, is participate.
Wow.
Nothing beats participation. And I'll tell you why. If you're not part of a decision or you were not in a meeting, it's difficult for you to, when they ask what happened there, it's natural for you not to know because you were not there. You understand what I'm saying? It is natural for you to know when, not to know anything because you were not there. Now, what do I mean by participation? Let's take the likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Let's take the likes of Angela Merkel.
Yes.
Angela Merkel went into the politics of her country. Theresa May, when she was the UK president, she also went into politics of her country. So you see, it doesn't drop on our laps. We work for it. You have to be there. You have to participate. If we stand, if we stand on the fence, it wouldn't come to us. Wow. When a decision is being taken, it's been taken because you are visible enough within the organization.
Wow.
And mark my words, when I talk about visibility, I'm not just talking about being visible for nuisance value. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being visible because you bring value to the table. And somebody asked, before you take this decision, have you spoken with Odunayo? Have you spoken with Toyin? Have you spoken with Lillian? People will, you understand, those are some of the ways we must participate. We can't be on the sidelines.
Wow.
I think those are some of the ways that we can.
I mean, I just want to thank you for speaking to that and reinforce it because we needed to hear that. Now, we just have 2 more questions, should I say 2.5? Now, you've talked about strategies, how you can upskill networking. Now, how can you build a culture, that would encourage women to grow in the area of leadership? Build a
take that again. So I heard you in an organization. How do you build a culture?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
That would encourage women to grow, into leadership.
So for me, the first thing any organization must understand again is that leadership is gender blind, success is gender blind, significance is gender blind. And the reason I talk about significance is that I believe there are 3 stages in our lives as human beings. The first one is survival, the second one is success, and the third one is, significance. So I believe that as any organization that knows that is focused, that organization needs to make it clear. What is the culture of that organization? In designing the culture must not be around, must not be gender driven. There must never be certain roles that are set aside for men. No. A successful organization is an organization that puts things on the table, and regardless of who you are, whether you're male or you're female, you can pick it up and you run with it. Yeah. So organizations must have that culture. Where I work, we have what we call the vital behaviors. And you must have those behaviors. It's not about whether you're male or female. Now, organizations must draw women. I know organizations that when things are happening, maybe they're hiring and all of that, they deliberately put these things out on a lot of female platforms. maybe like Wimbies, Whisker, and they do all of that just to get a lot of women to be aware and for them to be able to apply. Wow. But the thing is, the organization can make things work and can have all these policies. But women must step up. We must participate. We must show up. So those are some of the ways that what are the policies? There's certain organizations that don't hire women because you say they'll go on maternity leave. There's some organizations who are just, they're not living in the new century. They're not living in the digital age, forgetting that the same person, that a woman should not be punished because she went on maternity leave. In fact, organizations must, have policies that encourage women to have time for their families. Wow. If someone can go on a sabbatical, why can't a woman go on? Wow. If anyone can go on a sabbatical, why can't a woman go on a maternity leave? My organization recently, we reviewed the maternity leave to, I think it's now 6 months.
Wow.
So and you're paid. You get paid as a woman.
Wow.
So those are some of the things.
Wow. Fantastic.
And another thing.
Yeah.
Leaders in organizations must be very, very conscious of their teams and the people around them. How do you practice inclusion as a leader? How do you see, and it even has nothing to do with gender alone, but how do you bring the women in your team to speak up?
Wow.
How do you give them tasks? Begin to give them tasks and projects to run with because you want to include them. You want them included. You understand? And so until these things begin to change largely in virtually, all the organizations, and we begin to look at gender mainstreaming to say that we want to focus, not because women are better than, but because women are a bit disadvantaged. But hey, let's bring them. And it's been proven. Research has proven the value that women bring, to the table. So those are some of the ways that women, policies within the workplace, the culture can be built. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, thank you so much. It's been amazing. We've almost done almost 50 minutes now, and it's just as if it's 10. I'm really enjoying myself, and I'm sure that those who are on the platform are also enjoying themselves. If you're on the platform, if you could just say thank you to my sister Odunayo, just say thank you. We would appreciate that. I think we now have the last question. I think we've done well with timing. The next session after this, we have an amazing lady who is going to be speaking on leadership and vaccination. Bosola Akishete will be joining us in another 6 minutes, and she'll be speaking on leadership and vaccination. That's going to be an awesome topic. So please, stay on the platform at 8 p.m., which is 2 p.m. Eastern. Now I want you to speak. What's your view on mentorship?
I always say that mentorship is a lifeline.
Wow.
It is a lifeline. No? It's not just anything. It is a lifeline. And the reason I say this is just because you can learn from other people's experiences. We can all do well. For instance, God is a mentor to all of us. That's the truth. God is a mentor to us, and then our parents are mentors to us. And that tells you that the mentorship is not just the word. Yes, maybe it's been overused in the recent times, but it's been the process of a man or a woman teaching their children to do stuff is mentorship. And so it's been with us because there's a lot of value. So for me, mentorship is a lifeline.
Wow.
Now, what do I mean by lifeline? Like I said, you don't have to walk alone. You can learn. You can get guided. You can get somebody who is a sounding board for you and test out some ideas. And the reason I say this is because you need people who believe in you. So there's something we call the inner circle. You know this also. Is one of the 21 irrefutable laws of a
leadership.
Of leadership. And it says the law of the inner circle, and says, you know what, you'll only be as good as the people in the people that surround you immediately. And so in the your immediate people who surround you. And what it is who are the people speaking into your life? Who are the people that you look up to? Who are the people that you follow? Whether this is the age of social media, everybody's on social media. So who are you following? Are they adding value to you?
Wow.
And that is it. And for me, mentorship does not have to be physical. I don't need to know somebody personally for them to.
I want to jump in. Who are your mentors? I'm sure you have quite a number of mentors.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, John Maxwell is my mentor. I follow Paul Martinelli closely, and I also follow Robin Sharma extremely very closely. Wow. Read his books, follow him, listen to him, and all of that. Other people. So if you look at in Nigeria, I would say that I've also had various mentors for different seasons, of my life. I have past bosses of mine who are still my mentors today.
Yes.
I follow women like Mrs. Ibuku Anwoshika, follow quite a number of women. But you know what? You need to understand where you are going so that you can enlist the right people that will enable you. And that's who a mentor really is.
Wow. I wish we could do another hour, but I'm just so grateful to Oduayo. She's shown up powerfully tonight. She has shared so much. I just want to salute you, and I pray that God will continue to give you insight, foresight, everything side, and the strength to provide authentic leadership, which is what you're doing at a time like this. I celebrate you. I celebrate your husband, because I know that you are not just showing up by yourself. Your husband is right beside you.
Oh yeah.
And I trust that he's also listening in. For those who have joined us, I just want to celebrate you as well, particularly the women. Women all over the world that are joining us to listen. I just want to say that we thank you so much for what you've done to come and support our own sister as well. And I trust that you've gotten some value. So tonight, it's been brief, but you can still watch the replay. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of Leadership Talk with Adebuke, thank you so much, Oduayo. And have a good evening.
And you too.
Yeah, so we're going to be jumping in right in the next 2 minutes. I'm going to be speaking alongside with my friend and my sister from Minnesota in the US. We're going to be speaking. She's an assistant professor of infectious diseases. We're going to be speaking on leadership and vaccination. So still on this platform, customer retention, please join us in the next 2 minutes. So have a good evening, everyone. And trust.
You too. Thank you for having me. Have a blessed week ahead.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.